Well, as President-elect Donald Trump shoots his tariff T-shirt cannon to the north and to the south, we have the North's response today. We've already seen Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum's response earlier this week.
She said that she's ready to respond in kind. Let me read to you a portion of that letter that she sent to President-elect Donald Trump. She said, quote, "President Trump, neither threats nor tariffs will solve the issue of migration or drug consumption in the United States. Cooperation and shared understandings are required to face these important challenges. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response." I'm going to read that one more time because these are very important words from Mexico's president. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response, continuing like this until we put shared companies at risk.
But up in the Great White North, our Canadian neighbors, they have some thoughts of their own as well. And here's the initial reaction this couple of days back, based upon Trump's original tweet. On the other side of this, we'll have today's latest bombshell launched from the provinces, a collective of hosers who will not be hosed.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke with President-elect Donald Trump shortly after the social media post. The call lasted about 10 minutes, I'm told, and they discussed border security and trade. According to a senior Canadian government source, Trudeau specifically pointed out the fact that migrants crossing from Canada into the U.S., it's a fraction of what happens at the southern U.S. border. I'm told the initial reaction in Ottawa was calm. Canada has been preparing for this, though there were no indications it was coming so quickly. The threat was posted online as that special Canada-U.S. cabinet committee was actually meeting. The Prime Minister's Deputy Chief of Staff, Brian Clow, had to frantically pull staffers out of the meeting so they could bring everyone up to speed. Going forward, expect the return of Team Canada. Politicians, diplomats, business leaders speaking with their U.S. counterparts to plead Canada's case. And on that note, Trudeau also had calls with the premiers of Ontario and Quebec. And now Ottawa needs to plan its retaliation. The Trudeau government has been here before. Trump slapped tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum during NAFTA negotiations. And at that time, Canada had a list of businesses that rely on trade with Canada, those American businesses. All sorts of details down to whether they're in a Republican district and whether tariffs would cause political damage. Look to that, Adrian.
All right, Katie Simpson in Washington. Thanks, Katie.
So here's Team Canada's response. Just earlier today, the AP reports Canada is already examining possible retaliatory tariffs on certain items from the United States should President-elect Donald Trump follow through on his threat to impose sweeping tariffs on Canadian products, a senior official said Wednesday. Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on products from Canada and Mexico if the countries don't stop what he called the flow of drugs and migrants across the southern and northern borders. He said he would impose a 25% tax on all products entering the U.S. from Canada and Mexico as one of his first executive orders. In Canada, a government official said Canada is preparing for every eventuality and has started thinking about what items to target with the tariffs in retaliation. The official stressed no decision has been made. The person spoke on condition of anonymity, as they were not authorized to speak publicly. When Trump imposed higher tariffs during his first term in office, other countries responded with retaliatory tariffs of their own. Canada, for instance, announced billions of new duties in 2018 against the U.S. in a tit-for-tat response to new taxes on Canadian steel and aluminum. Many of the U.S. products were chosen for their political rather than economic impact. For example, Canada imports $3 million worth of yogurt from the U.S. annually, and most of it comes from one plant in Wisconsin, home state of then House Speaker Paul Ryan. That product was hit with a 10% duty. Another product on the list was whiskey, which comes from Tennessee and Kentucky, the latter of which is the home state of then Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. Trump made the threat Monday while rallying against an influx of illegal immigrants, even though the numbers at the Canadian border pale in comparison to the southern border. Canadian officials say lumping Canada in with Mexico is unfair, but they say they are ready to make new investments in border security and work with the Trump administration to lower the numbers from Canada. The Canadians are also worried about an influx north of migrants if Trump follows through with his plan for mass deportations. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau held an emergency virtual meeting on Wednesday with the leaders of Canada's provinces. He stressed they need to present a united front. I don't want to minimize for a moment the gravity of the challenge we now face. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland said now is really a moment for us not to squabble amongst ourselves. The provincial members want Trudeau to negotiate a bilateral trade deal with the United States that excludes Mexico. Well, Trump will most likely do to our allies exactly what he's done for so many families this holiday season, not bring them together but divide them apart and be amused at the chaos that ensues. Because what was once the Americana version for the world to see of the holiday season, why it looked something like this. Now, moving forward, it looks something like this.
If this turkey tastes half as good as it looks, I think we're all in for a very big treat.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
Okay, Adam,